Hey y'all, you're listening to Criminalist Behavior Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the case of Bruce Cucchiara, episode number 36. If this is your first time listening, hi, my name is Sarah Soudier, and I'm your host for Criminalist Behavior Podcast. I want to thank you for listening to the show, and I really hope you enjoy it. So, trigger warning. This episode may contain content of graphic nature, including descriptions of physical and sexual violence against adults, children, and animals. Listener discretion is advised. So Bruce Cucchiara was a grandfather, father, and husband. He loved sports, particularly baseball, and he dedicated most of his free time to coaching baseball and basketball in his community. He was born on December 28, 1954 in New Orleans to Vivian Cucchiara and the late Mario Cucchiara, the beloved husband of Anne Solio Cucchiara, and they had children. Bruce had children from his former marriage. His former marriage was for Caitlin, but his children's name were Christopher Paul Cucchiara and Mary Ann Miners Cucchiara. And Bruce had two sisters, one named Peggy Knight and the other named Candy Wyatt, and a stepson named J. Asher Fobb, and one grandson, Jackson B. Cucchiara. Bruce was a dedicated Christian and a very well-respected member of the community. He was a leader and a businessman, and everyone who knew him states that, he is severely missed, and he will always be missed. He was a good part of the community and the work that he was doing in the community. So Bruce graduated from St. Paul's School in 1972, but he was an active member of the Alumni Association. He received his undergraduate degree from Southeastern Louisiana University, and his favorite holiday, y'all, Christmas, which, hey, Bruce, I can't deny, I love Christmas. He started his career in finance, and he actually became the first president of Resource Bank. And that bank is based in St. Tammany Parish, and he later moved up to the chief financial officer of SECO, which is a real estate development company that's located in Covington, Louisiana. So he started off in finance, then became the president at the bank, then later a chief financial officer of SECO for a real estate company. And as I previously stated, not only did Bruce have a very candid imagination when it came to baseball, but he actually loved sports. He dedicated decades of his life to the Covington's youth as a volunteer baseball and basketball coach. And he was a dedicated member of the church called Trinity, which, being a member of that church, he actually, before this incident, traveled to Romania on a mission to spread the gospel and to lead others to Christ. So Bruce was just living his best life and just doing the thing. So the day of this incident, the morning of April 24th, 2012, started off as a typical day for Bruce. Bruce received an incoming call regarding an investment property in Lafayette, Louisiana. The two had met the day before, and they were inquiring about an update. So the last call that Bruce had lasted about 4 minutes or so, and Bruce ended up arriving at his office about 8 o'clock that morning, and he literally replied to his son's email at 8:09 a.m. So, got to the office at 8, and then he replied to his son's email at 8:09. By 9:10 a.m., there was another call that was relatively short as it only lasted 2 minutes. So then we go to 9:32 that morning. There's another outgoing business call to an associate, and that call lasted a little less than a minute, and it's believed that that person didn't answer that particular call since it was less than a minute, and we're going to call that person JB. However, the calls pinged off of a tower that suggested that Bruce was likely en route to a particular apartment complex, the one that they were discussing the day before or previously. At 9:53 a.m., Bruce made a call to Glenn Angus, which is another business associate, and that call lasted for about 12 minutes. It is believed that during that time, Bruce was already at the apartment complex, and he tried calling Glenn back, but Glenn didn't answer. So he was arriving at this apartment complex to look at this property as a potential investment opportunity. The address that he was given, though, was incorrect. So he went to speak to the apartment building manager in an attempt to get some clarity on the address that was provided. However, allegedly nobody knew that Bruce was going to this particular apartment complex. Now, the name of the apartment complex was named Mark 7 Apartment, and it was literally located at the 4500 block of Pampania Drive. At 10:14 a.m., while Bruce was walking back to his truck from speaking to the apartment complex manager, he was gunned down. Bruce was shot by a revolver. There was no casings found at the scene, and there was no security footage that was obtainable. Minutes later, an officer responded to the Mark 7 apartment complex parking lot. And there's questions that the family and investigators still have to this day. No one has come forward to say that they were meeting with Bruce that morning, and no one has come forward to say that they knew he was actually going to the Mark 7 apartments. Now, like it was allegedly stated, apparently there was a wrong address. At least that's what the apartment manager complex told investigators when he was interviewed, that Bruce went in there asking for directions, and then apparently he had the wrong address for a potential real estate investment, and he just got gunned down by a revolver as he was walking back to his truck. His wife said he mentioned he was going to New Orleans, but that was the only details that she had. The business partner did agree to workman's comp claim policy to say that Bruce was on a business trip down in New Orleans East. So that business trip and that associate that referred to that was JB. There was a first name written down on a piece of paper, along with the address and directions. It also had a time next to the name, which happened to be the same time that Bruce was at those apartments. So, who did Bruce tell about the Mark 7 apartments? Was it the last person to speak with Bruce, which was, of course, as we know, Glenn Angus? Or was it his business partner? Or was it someone else? The business partner filed a workers' comp claim, stating Bruce was there on business for a business partner's company. But does that mean he knew? So it's just not adding up, because it's, according to investigators, nobody knew that Bruce was going there, but yet this business partner stated that he did know that he was going there, but it's for a business partner's company. So stories aren't adding up. So we are unsure, because the business partner will not speak to investigators or Bruce's family. So the questions that come to mind are, why did a person whose name was written down next to the address, directions, and time never show up at that particular appointment? And if Bruce was actually meeting up with someone, like, once that person arrived at that particular location, and they seen that their business associate, allegedly business associate, or a potential, like I said, investment opportunity was sitting there shot right in front of you, wouldn't you want to speak to the police? Wouldn't you come forward saying, hey, yeah, I was meeting with him and we're going to discuss about him buying this or investing in this? I mean, I know a majority of us would actually let investigators know that. I mean, unless there's some shady shit going down, right? Why is it a secret? Why didn't anyone come forward saying, hey, look, I had that meeting with Bruce at the Mark 7 apartment complex. Like, what the hell is going on? Allegedly, I'm thinking this is just a whole setup, because if you were legitly trying to meet Bruce there, I mean, you would come forward. That's my gist of it. So now some might say he could have been there on unofficial or shady business. Maybe that's why the person didn't come forward. Or that piece of paper was also the specs for the apartment complex. It listed out how many bedrooms each apartment may have, whether it's 2-bedroom apartments, how many 2-bedroom apartments were there, how many 3-bedroom apartments, and so forth at that apartment complex. And Bruce's job for the business partner would be to scout out potential real estate investments. So if Bruce was heading down there for a shady deal, I know you can't see me, but that's all in quotations, a shady deal, why would the apartment specs be written down? Clearly, he was meeting someone to look at purchasing these apartments for the business he worked for, based off of the workers' comp claim. So, again, you remember how I said, apparently, supposedly, no one knew who was going to this Mark 7 apartment complex as a potential real estate investment, but yet a workers' comp claim was filed on his behalf, and in that workers' comp claim, it stated that he was meeting someone to look at purchasing these particular apartments. Make it make sense, y'all. So Bruce was led down to New Orleans East, where someone waited for him to arrive, and then they just killed him. Someone set it up to make it look like a random robbery gone wrong, and I wholeheartedly really believe that. But it gets better. The business partner that was scheduled to have lunch with Bruce that same day in New Orleans, why would they not ride together to look at a potential investment property for the business partner? If they were in business together and they were both interested in this potential apartment complex as a business opportunity, why didn't they ride together? I mean, it would make sense that they would ride together and then go eat lunch and then look at an apartment complex, right? So if they were planning to meet up right after, that would make sense. They would just ride together. A question we still cannot get answered is, why didn't the business partner ride with Bruce? And that's just because the business partner will not speak to investigators or the family. Like, shady ass shit. Like, you got something to hide. You got something to hide, and that's why you're not speaking. So what happened later? It was discovered that Bruce's phone and wallet were stolen at the scene. Approximately an hour and a half later, there was an email notification requesting a new password that somebody had tried to get into Bruce's Apple ID account. It remains unknown who or why someone was trying to get into the account. Bruce's phone was eventually recovered a few months, y'all heard me right, a few months after his murder. And according to the brain scratch video with John Lorden, it took at least a month for police to actually retrieve that phone. 2 days later, a sketch of a potential suspect in the area was released to the public. The suspect was described as being in his mid-20s, between 5'9" and 6 foot tall, and he had a slim build. He was clean-shaven and has a possibly light brown complexion and was wearing a black knit cap, a thick black jacket with a hood underneath, black pants, and black shoes. So, I don't know about all y'all, but I mean, as I'm watching movies and they got these potential burglars or whatever, I mean, what the hell, they all dressed in all black. Got the whole black face mask, ski mask, all that shit going down. This is what it seems like was happening. So where the case stands today is there was like a total of 5 insurance policies taken out on Bruce that actually dated back to 2007. Y'all, that totaled up to $5 million. There was just 3 $1 million policies and then 1 $2 million policy taken out. So now I'm going to get to the potential suspect or person of interest, and this person's name is Richard Chambers. Richard Chambers was a former Louisiana official, and he actually spent some time in prison and had to pay thousands of dollars in fines because he was accused and convicted and pled guilty to racketeering, and this was associated with Operation Blighted Officials. So the U.S. Attorney's Office, Middle District, said Richard Chambers, who was 68 at the time and a resident of Laplace, was sentenced to 30 months in prison and fined $10,500. He was also ordered to forfeit the $11,341 in this racketeering deal, and he will serve 1 year supervised probation after he gets out of prison. The U.S. Attorney J. Walter Green said that Richard Chambers was involved in 2 corrupt schemes in 2009 and 2010, while he was serving as a deputy commissioner of the Louisiana Department of Insurance. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because, well, one, he was looked at as a potential suspect in this case against Bruce, but also, like, the shady shit that happened in these dealings. So, New Orleans police may have a new lead in this decade-old unsolved murder. And in 2021, police made it known that they wanted to speak to Richard regarding any information he may know about Bruce's murder. A NOPD bulletin issued in November of 2021, but it literally just started surfacing, stated that the department is seeking the whereabouts of Baton Rouge couple described as persons of interest in the cold case of Bruce's murder. So police are seeking the whereabouts of Richard Chambers, 31, and Joyce Whitfield, 64, and believe that they may have knowledge that is very vital and crucial to the investigation. The couple is believed to be in the Baton Rouge area. The problem is, police are aware that the cell phone was found in Whitfield's possession. Y'all was wondering where that went, right? So Joyce Whitfield somehow got Bruce's cell phone, and this was pinged to her just weeks after Bruce's murder. And Richard Chambers fits the description police have of the man who shot Bruce. So it's not like the names of Chambers and Whitfield have only recently come to investigators' attention. And y'all, if y'all look at this police sketch that I will be posting, I mean, Chambers looks identical. Like, swear to God, identical to the guy in the sketch. Y'all check that out. I mean, identical. So, a former law enforcement official familiar with the case noted that the terms person of interest and suspect are synonymous. So, a person of interest once meant a beautiful woman. And today, it's just a synonym for a suspect. So, this guy is living in the olden days. Like, we're going back into, let's go with the 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever. A person of interest is like someone I like or whatever. It's not a suspect. But now if we hear person of interest, we automatically think Criminal Minds. At least I know I do. So, if Joyce Whitfield was found with a cell phone shortly after his murder, that makes her a suspect. If she bought the phone from someone off the street, then she is subject to being charged with possession of stolen property and should be able to give a description of who she bought that phone from. If not a name, at least describe the person who she bought the phone from, right? So in August 2015, which is 3 years after Bruce's brutal murder, a little more than 3 years, Richard Chambers Sr., 68 years old, of Laplace, and a former deputy commissioner of the Louisiana Department of Insurance, was sentenced to 30 months in prison. Like I said, he was fined $10,500. He had to forfeit that $11,241 racketeering money after he pleaded guilty. It was not immediately clear if Richard Chambers is related to the other Richard Chambers, because there's two. A $27,500 reward for information leading to the capture of Bruce Cucchiara's killer was posted shortly after his murder in 2012. One person's name who keeps resurfacing in the investigation is Bruce's business associate, Jared Caruso Rique, who was actually the beneficiary of the $5 million life insurance policy on Bruce at the time of his death. Now, Caruso Rique was a member of the State Police Commission. He was appointed by Governor John Bel Edwards, and apparently he sued New York Life Insurance Company on August 7th, which was less than 4 months after Bruce's death, to obtain the benefits of the insurance policy, even though investigators had not cleared him as being implicated in the killing. Y'all heard that right. Jared Caruso Rique filed suit in Baton Rouge's Middle District of U.S. Federal Court instead of New Orleans, which normally would have been a proper venue for the St. Tammany Parish resident, but he filed it in the U.S. Federal Court less than 4 months after Bruce's death to obtain the benefits of the insurance policy that equaled to $5 million. Now, who is Jared Rique? He, obviously, was a business associate of Bruce, but he has a little background and his connections aren't too clean, okay? So, Jared Caruso Rique has been in a number of legal conflicts and has business ties to organized crime figures, including Dudley Geigerman and Dudley Geigerman Sr., who was New York's Mafia leader, Frank Costello's brother-in-law, and who worked as a collector for Costello's slot machines throughout Louisiana. So, what this means is Bruce was working for Jared. Well, they were business associates at the same company, and Jared was working with Dudley, which is people who are high in New York Mafia and associated with Frank Costello. Yeah. This is where the plot twists. So, Geigerman, in turn, was partnered with convicted organized crime figure Anthony Tusa in St. Tammany and Jefferson Parish adult entertainment and video stores. So, they were literally coming out with all the slot machines and different adult videos and entertainment. So the background of Dudley Geigerman and ties to Bruce Cucchiara's business partner, Jared Rique. In 1934, New York Mayor Fiorello LaGuardia put the kibosh on the Mafia boss Lucky Luciano Frank Costello's slot machine operations when he confiscated thousands of machines and had them dumped into the East River. Facing a major cash flow problem from the LaGuardia's actions, Costello cut a deal with Louisiana Senator Huey P. Long and gave 10% of the gambling revenue if Costello was scared to move the slots to New Orleans. Thus, with the Kingfish blessing, Costello and Philip Castell in Stamford, Connecticut, and New York City came to New Orleans in early 1935 and organized Bayou Novelty Company as a front to spearhead what would eventually be a statewide gambling operation. Which gambling was not legal at this time, y'all, in the 1930s. In 1937, the manager of Bayou Novelty died, and Costello's brother-in-law, Dudley Geigerman, took over the operation. And by 1939, this accounted for annual profits of $800,000, according to the Baton Rouge State-Times newspaper. But in October of 1939, a federal indictment charged 6 men of evading $529,000 in income taxes. That amount would equate to about $10.4 million today. Yeah. Taxes, y'all. Taxes! Damn! $10.4 million in taxes? I mean, come the hell on, boo. Named in the indictment was Costello, Dudley Geigerman, Harold Geigerman, which is Geigerman's sister, was married to Costello, James Brocato, who was also known as Jimmy Moran, and Jacob Altman, what about Jake Altman? All but Costello and Castell were from New Orleans. Moran, it should be noted, had once served as a bodyguard for Huey P. Long. So all this shit was tied into freaking politics and chaos and well-known figures in Louisiana, right? The indictment identified Altman as the organization's bookkeeper and the Geigermans as the collectors, and claimed that tax evasions for the years of 1936-37 nearly totaled about $2.6 million, which would be $51 million back in 2021. So they petitioned the court in December 1947 to return the slot machines seized earlier that year after police already destroyed 390 of the 652 confiscated machines. They also obtained a restraining order preventing the destruction of the remaining 262 slots. And a lawsuit against the mayor, Morrison, was dismissed in 1949 despite Dudley Geigerman's testimony that the machines could not be used as gambling devices without manipulation or the addition of special features. So by 1954, Costello himself was on trial for evading $73,437 in income taxes from his 22.5% ownership of the Louisiana Mint Company, which was also a slot machine rental firm. So the IRS claimed at the same time that Marcello owed $13,600 additional income tax for years from 1943 to 1947, plus fraud penalties totaling more than $6,000. So, like I said, gambling was illegal at this time, and video poker was authorized the following years in 1993, but the IRS was issuing gambling stamps as of 1968. So it's a little... So, fast forward to today, and we have one Dudley Geigerman III, who at various times has partnered in business with Marcello, New York Mafia boss, associate and convicted organized crime figure Anthony Tusa, and Louisiana State Police Commission member Jared Caruso Rique. So, the different businesses that Dudley Geigerman III was involved in, along with his partner, which was also partners with Bruce, was Crown Entertainment, which was also with Anthony Tusa. All of these pretty much had Anthony Tusa written all over it. Decatur Entertainment in Slidell, Southeastern Louisiana Entertainment, Video Village, Mr. Binky's Video Store, Paradise Video, and GDH International in Covington. So, the first 6 businesses were video stores that specialized in pornographic videos and literature, as well as various sex toys, while GDH was a real estate investment company. Other officers in GDH, besides CEO Rique and the Director of Housing Geigerman, were Director Daniel E. Burris Jr., Chief Operating Officer Richard Sharps, and Chief Financial Officer Bruce Cucchiara. So, now y'all got the background. So this could be just more than some shady-ass business. Does it have ties to the Mafia? Was he a hit? Did he owe money? What is really the case, right? So, Bruce Cucchiara was murdered at the apartment complex, and Caruso Rique had the 4 life insurance policies with New York Life. Such policies are not unusual partners or key employees in the business world. Neither is it unusual for insurance companies to delay paying benefits when the beneficiary has not been cleared as being implicated in a murder. So Caruso Rique, despite not having been eliminated in the investigation, filed suit against the New York Life on March 9th, 2013, a month before his claim would have been prescribed and 11 months after the murder, which was still under investigation. Inexplicably, he filed his lawsuit in the state court in Baton Rouge instead of St. Tammany Parish, that's where he should have actually filed it, because he was a resident there and the business was there. But the insurance company opted out not to contest the policies, and they actually paid Caruso Rique. Cucchiara also signed a promissory note as security on some real estate property to Caruso Rique only 20 days before he was killed. 20 days. So you collected $5 million off of Bruce, and you made him sign a promissory note 20 days before he died on some real estate property? That's a little nuts. So Bruce's daughter, Caitlin, said that Caruso Rique gave an initial statement to investigators, but since then, the investigating detective has reached out to him, but Caruso Rique just declines to speak. He refuses to speak to the investigators. They also reached out to Caruso Rique's lawyer, and he also declined to speak. So Caruso Rique, his family members, and business enterprises were and are politically active, contributing tens of thousands of dollars to both Republican and Democratic candidates, which includes Governor John Bel Edwards and his brother, Sheriff Daniel Edwards of Tangipahoa Police Department. On January 8th, 2019, Governor Edwards named his brother State Police Commission, a 7-member body that has exclusive jurisdiction and final authority over the mission of the State Police Service, according to the Commission's webpage. The Commission serves as an impartial review board that enacts and adjudicates State Police Commission rules to regulate state police personal activities and hears appeals from Commission full-time law enforcement officers. It has, however, been mirrored in controversy as the Louisiana State Police Troop F headquartered in Monroe, where attention was put into the media on the different state trooper beatings of black motorists, including the beating death of Ronald Green in May 2019, in case y'all didn't realize that. Police beatings. Louisiana State Police. Okay? It's not entirely clear what Geigerman's role is as the housing director of GDH International, or why Caruso Rique would enter into a business partnership with the individual tied to persons linked to Marcelo, Costello, and the Gambino families in organized crime. Let's not forget Tusa. There is no indication that Caruso Rique is in any way involved in illegal activities, allegedly. But there can be no question that there is at least an indirect, if somewhat questionable, link for him to be associated with Geigerman, Tulsa, Marcelo, Costello, and Gambino, which in turn raises some questions about his particularly part in the State Police Commission. Geigerman and Anthony Tusa together purchased Video Village, which was located at 1797 Highway 190 West in Slidell on March 15, 2002 for a total of $50,000. That same day, the two also negotiated a lease of the building at that address to be used as a video rental store and for the sale of novelties, periodicals, and refreshments and snacks. In something of a plot twist, though, 2 men were arrested on suspicion of simple arson on September 11, 2007, which stemmed from a fire that burned down Mr. Binky's video store at the 96 West 27th Street in Kenner, Louisiana. One of the men, who was named Jesse Costa, was manager of Parody's Video, only a few blocks away on 41 West 24th Street in Kenner. And the other man was Rashad Clark, who was a part-time employee of Parody's Video. Both stores were jointly owned by Geigerman and Tusa. Despite the arrest, there was no one that was ever prosecuted. The Tusa name has a long history of organized crime connections, and in 1991, when Louisiana legalized video poker, brothers Anthony Tusa and Victor Tusa, along with Sebastian Salvatore, were convicted under the Racketeering Influence Corrupt Organization, aka RICO Act, of mail fraud for conspiring to act as a frontman or strawman to obtain video poker licenses on behalf of Marcelo and Garbino organized crime families through Bayou Casinos. And Bayou Casinos, Inc. was a corporation that was controlled by Anthony and Victor Tusa, whose agent of record was listed as Alan B. Tusa. So, I know that's a lot thrown at y'all, but long story short, the Mafia was high up into this. They owned all of this. Not sure what the exact purpose is, but again, there's not enough evidence to state that Caruso Rique was highly involved with these particular crime mafia people, but he was associated with them. The fact that he had a $5 million policy, though, really, really does not make him look good. Like, just shady shit, like, on the road. So, Bruce had lunch the day before he was killed with a person of interest named CS. And the morning of his murder, he had a brief conversation to follow up on that particular investment property where CS was interested in for himself on a personal level. One of the last people to speak to Bruce before he was killed was one of his business partners, Glenn Angus. And on March 17th, 2007, this is whenever Caruso Rique took out all those $1 million life insurance policies on Bruce, and there we are today. Jared Caruso Rique was the sole beneficiary of those policies, which totaled up to $5 million. And additionally, a $2 million policy was taken out naming South Louisiana Water and Sewage, which was a company Caruso Rique owned together with Bruce. So that promissory note, yeah. So he just stood to collect and collect and collect off of Bruce being dead. Like, a total of $7 million. That's $7 million, right? April 23rd, 2012, Bruce had lunch with a colleague. Bruce goes to Lafayette to meet with this colleague, and they spent approximately 4 hours together as they were discussing that investment property. April 24th, 2012, at 7:52 a.m. particularly, which was Bruce's first call of that day, an incoming call came on Bruce's phone named CS regarding investment property in Lafayette. They previously met the day prior discussing that, and CS wanted an update. That call, again, lasted 4 minutes. April 24th, 2012, Bruce goes to the office and arrives there at about 8:09, and this is whenever he sent an email out to his son responding to him. So, at 9:10, Bruce received his second phone call, and this was from his business partner, which lasted about 2 minutes. At 9:32 a.m., there was an outgoing call to a person named JB. It is believed that he was calling an office line, and that call was not actually answered as it was less than a minute time. So that's whenever Bruce then called JB's cell phone. The calls were pinged off of a tower, suggesting that Bruce was already on his way to those apartment complexes that he was looking out for. On April 24, 2012, at approximately 9:53 a.m., this is whenever he received that phone from Glenn Angus, that phone call from Glenn Angus. And that lasted for about 12 minutes. At 10:05 a.m., Bruce tried calling Glenn again, but there was no answer. 10:14 a.m., is the exact time that police suggest that Bruce was shot as he went to look at that investment property on Pampino Drive. And this was while he was walking back to his truck. So 10:18 a.m. on April 24, 2012 is whenever police arrived on the scene, and Bruce is found shot near his truck with his wallet and phone missing. April 24, 2012, they attempt to access Bruce's iCloud account from his cell phone, which we later determined that was Weimer, right? And this happened about an hour and a half after Bruce was shot. So April 26th, which was 2 days later, a suspect sketch was released who looked like Richard Chambers' identical person. Like I said, that described it, the man suspected in the area who was shot Bruce being in his mid-20s, about 5'9" and 6 foot tall. He had a slim build. He was clean-shaved, and he possibly light brown complexion, wearing a black knit cap, a thick black jacket with a hood underneath, black pants, and black shoes. Black the hell out. And police believe that that suspect lives near the apartment complex. So a reward was announced on May 3rd, 2012. And that reward was for $27,500. And this was to establish any information leading to the arrest of the person responsible for killing Bruce. The family is also offering their own private reward for the arrest and conviction of the person responsible for the death of Bruce. On August 2015, Richard Chambers Sr. was charged on a racketeering, where he was forfeiting that $11,000, and he had to pay fines going up to $10,500 and some probation, right? So November 30th, 2021, y'all do the math, 12 years later, this is when police want to speak to two particular people that may be persons of interest in this case. The New Orleans Police Department made it known to the public they want to speak with Richard Chambers and Joyce Whitfield. Both Chambers and Whitfield have not been charged with anything, but it is believed that they have information that may be helpful of the investigation. As of today, this case still remains unsolved. The family is still actively seeking justice for Bruce. And in 2021, the New Orleans Police Department made it known to the public that they will not stop investigating this case. Police believe that they may have information that would be helpful to the investigation. And in 2023, Counterclock Podcast covered Bruce's case in season 5. A reward up to $100,000 has been announced for any information leading to the death and person arrested for killing Bruce, and conviction, obviously, of those suspects responsible for that crime. And according to Bruce Cucchiara's daughter, which is Caitlin, she stated the following: "Everything in my life has moved forward, but this one part of my life is like stuck back to that very day, April 24th, 2012. And since the shooting happened in 2012, Caitlin stated that she and her brother started taking matters into their own hands to get answers in this investigation. They felt like the New Orleans Police Department wasn't helping as much as they should be. Since that, Caitlin Piku stated the following: "With the investigation, it's been extremely frustrating. We have a third new detective that is now on the case. The details just don't seem to line up that it was a robbery gone wrong. It seems that it was more of a setup of our father." Piku also stated that a new detective has been very helpful in this case, and that she is now looking to speak to someone who may have known what had happened moments before her father was killed. And the detective is looking to speak to Glenn Angus out of Mississippi. There's a number registered to him, and that number was the last to speak with my dad, according to Caitlin, for 15 minutes. And the call log on Bruce's phone shows that there was another call where Bruce tried calling Glenn back, but there was no answer. And they believe that is extremely important to know what was said on that phone call. Caitlin stated, "It is definitely difficult. It's not easy to think that this was the last place he was, but I know that he's at peace now." However, the children have remained restless in their dad's case. They are still plagued with questions, including who would gun down such a beloved member of the Covington community and a prominent figure in their lives. Piku stated that her father was a wonderful guy, so giving, so caring, and she was honored to have him as her dad. And Bruce taught her a lot. So Bruce's son, Chris, stated, "I've been able to block some of the stuff out. I'm just waiting for detectives to make some headway, and I think once they make an arrest, I'll be able to deal with it in a different way." So Chris, Bruce's son, is just out of sight, out of mind type situation, but at the same time still looking for who is responsible for killing his father. And there's a lot of foot traffic that's been going in and out of that apartment. So in 2012, they don't think that wasn't the case either. So they believe in 2012, they still had a shitload of people going in and out of that apartment complex, as with any apartment complex, right? So they believe that someone knows something, right? Harbin with the police stated that police would like to track down one particular person, a name in an apartment complex, who was working on a bicycle before Bruce's killing. He said that the man was seen leaving the apartments on his bicycle with a bag after the shooting. And Harbin believes that some of Bruce's personal items may have been in that particular backpack. And Harbin stated the following: "It's just sad. A hard-working man, a family man, shows up looking for a business opportunity to continue to do what he does to provide for his family, and at some point, another individual just thought it would be best to end his life and take his shit." His children said there's not a day that goes by that they do not think about their father and all the memories. And his daughter also stated, "I know that he's looking down and happy with how we are living our lives and moving forward. I just want to make sure that he knows we do not forget about them. And they want him to know that they are not giving up hope to get justice for him." Chris, again Bruce's son, stated, "We're never going to stop coming for the people who did this. So even if they feel like they can breathe a little bit easier, they're going to be right behind them." So y'all, if y'all have witnessed or have any information concerning this crime of the killing of Bruce Cucchiara, you must email justiceforbruce@gmail.com, or you can submit an anonymous tip or call Detective Oquin at 504-658-5300 to qualify for the reward. You will remain anonymous and do not have to testify in court to earn that cash reward. The reward is paid in cash, and all tipsters are kept confidential. They pass the anonymous information into appropriate law enforcement agency, which takes action based to follow up on the information that was given and hopefully solve that crime. The reward will be paid once the investigating law enforcement agency supplies justice for Bruce, written verification that a tip helped lead to the arrest and subsequent conviction of the suspect or suspects in the killing of Bruce Cucchiara. Rewards can be split on any given case depending on information provided and law enforcement's disposition of all tips received. Rewards are paid out in cash while maintaining an anonymity of the tipster. So y'all, reach out. Reach out. If you or someone you know is a victim of any stalking, you could also reach out to the Victim Connect Resources Center at 1-855-484-2846, or you could chat online with them at victimconnect.org. There is also the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. Y'all, this seems like a case that was completely set up. Bruce was set up. Or on another set, was it that he literally had information about something? Was it shady business? He was actually portraying it? It just doesn't seem right, because if it was shitty, he wouldn't have that information. And the fact that no one knew he was allegedly going to this apartment complex, but yet there was a workers' comp claim stating that they knew. I mean, the shit just isn't adding up. So I would love to hear from you all. What do you think about this case? Do y'all think that it was some shady shit with the Mafia ties being on there? Do you think that Bruce was actually legit going in there and he was set up? Y'all can write, email, text, call, comment on anywhere you get your podcasts. You can also follow us on our website at www.criminalist-behavior-louisianatruecrimepodcast.com. Again, on that website, you can also become part of our Patreons. There's different little packages and different things that you can receive. Or you can just continue listening on your lovely podcast app. And y'all, they were announcing the Women Podcasting Award on October 22nd. So y'all make sure to tune in because, oh my God, yes, I will so be giving y'all that update. Fingers crossed. So if you enjoyed our show, please rate and review us on any of your local podcast apps, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, wherever you listen. And be sure to come back next week for a discussion on Glenn Sullivan, a man who will be known as one of the first to be physically castrated due to his crime. Until then, this is your host, Sarah Soudier, and don't forget to like, share, follow, or subscribe to Criminalist Behavior, a Louisiana True Crime Podcast. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Y'all have a wonderful night, and I'll catch you later. Bye.